Rocker Dave Edmunds, whose unmistakable voice and guitar riffs defined an era of British rock and roll, and who will forever be remembered for his iconic 1970 hit, I Hear You Knocking, has been left clinging to life in the wake of a devastating cardiac arrest. News of his condition has sent waves of shock and sorrow throughout the music community and beyond, especially among those who grew up hearing his songs echo from jukeboxes, radios, and garage speakers. For fans who believed that Edmunds had quietly stepped away from the spotlight in peace, this sudden and grim update has reopened memories, emotions, and admiration for a man whose contribution to music was far more extensive than the charts alone suggest. The heartbreaking revelation came from none other than the love of his life, his wife of 4 decades, Corinne Cecilia Cece Edmunds, who posted a heart-wrenching update on her personal Facebook page on July 29. In the rawness of her grief, Cece opened up to the world with a message that tore through the digital void and struck directly at the hearts of everyone who read it. My beloved husband of 40 years has had a major cardiac arrest, she began, the weight of her words evident in each syllable. He died in my arms while I desperately tried to keep him alive. There was no poetry in her the unfiltered terror and anguish of a woman whose world had been upended in an instant. Her post continued, revealing that the aftermath of this traumatic event had left her in what she described as psychological ruins. I'm still in shock, and I believe I have PTSD from the horrific experience, she wrote. Her pain was palpable. Anyone who has loved someone deeply can imagine the moment, the helplessness, the racing thoughts, the attempts to breathe life back into someone who means everything. The man she had stood beside for most of her life, the musician the world adored, was suddenly no longer the same. He very clearly has brain damage and severe memory loss, she added. The stark truth landed like a hammer. This wasn't just about a medical emergency, it was about the slow unraveling of someone's essence, the erasure of shared memories, and the unimaginable sorrow of possibly having to mourn someone who is still physically present. The risk of yet another major cardiac arrest is high, Cece warned. And if that occurs, there is no chance for Dave. Those words weren't just hypothetical, they were drawn from conversations with doctors and specialists, etched from hours spent in a sterile hospital room, watching beeping monitors and uncertain faces. The reality she now faced was grim, uncertain, and terrifying. But amidst the dread, there was also defiant hope, even if it flickered faintly like a candle in the wind. Dave will have a very long journey ahead of him if he survives, she concluded. We both have. But knowing that there are kind-hearted people such as you all makes this tremendously difficult journey a little easier. With those final words, Cece offered a glimpse of light, a call to kindness, a testament to the humanity that exists in shared compassion. Dave Edmunds was never just another musician. Born in Cardiff, Wales, on April 14, 1944. He grew up immersed in the sounds of early American rock and blues, absorbing every lick and lyric with the veracity of someone who wasn't just enamored with the genre but destined to shape it. While other children were tossing footballs and riding bikes, young Dave was already trying to replicate the sounds of his idols, crouched beside a record player or strumming a guitar long past bedtime. It wasn't long before that passion crystallized into something bigger. In 1968, he took his first major step into the limelight by joining the blues rock band Love Sculpture, a group that, though short-lived, provided the springboard for his solo career. Love Sculpture was, in many ways, the perfect showcase for Edmunds' technical prowess. He wasn't just a singer, he was a guitarist of extraordinary skill and a producer with an ear for detail. When Love Sculpture disbanded in 1970, many artists might have floundered in the wake of uncertainty, unsure of how to carve a new path. But not Dave. That same year, he emerged with a song that would define his legacy for generations to come. I Hear You Knocking, originally recorded by Smiley Lewis in the 1950s, was resurrected by Edmunds and transformed into a rock anthem that would climb the charts and capture the spirit of a new era. His gritty vocals, crisp guitar work, and tight production elevated the track to a 6-week reign at No. 1 in the UK, cementing his status as a force to be reckoned with in the rock scene. But Edmunds was never one to rest on his laurels. In 1972, he released his first solo album, Rockpile, a project that didn't just build on his early success, but expanded his range and influence. The album included his now famous rendition of I Hear You Knocking and also featured a raw, energetic cover of Bob Dylan's Outlaw Blues. It was clear that Edmunds was not merely covering tracks for the sake of nostalgia. He was reimagining them with a unique style that blended rockabilly, blues, and pub rock into a potent sonic cocktail. Throughout the 1970s and into the 80s, Edmunds continued to blaze his trail, eventually forming another band, also called Rockpilin' 1980. This time, the group featured musical heavyweights Nick Lowe, Billy Bremner, and Terry Williams. Together, they recorded the seminal album Seconds of Pleasure, a record that produced the memorable single Teacher. The band wasn't just a studio creation, they were electric live. Pulsing with the energy of four musicians at the top of their game, Rockpile was never meant to last forever, but what they left behind has endured far beyond the lifespan of most rock bands. Beyond his performances, Edmunds was a studio wizard. He had a knack for producing records that preserved the soul of a song while enhancing its commercial viability. It's this behind-the-scenes brilliance that made him a sought-after collaborator and producer. Brian Setzer, a longtime friend and the frontman of the Stray Cats, once called Edmunds a genius in the studio. Their professional and personal relationship extended over decades, with Edmunds helping shape the Stray Cats' early sound and continuing to work with Setzer on various projects. Their mutual respect ran deep, and it's no surprise that Setzer was one of the first to confirm Edmunds' retirement from the music scene in 2017. Quiet farewell to a lifetime of melody, rhythm, and innovation. Edmunds' last studio album, on guitar Dave Edmunds, Rags and Classics, released in 2015, was a departure from his vocal-heavy work. This instrumental record served as a graceful bow from an artist who had nothing left to prove but still so much left to give. It was introspective, nostalgic, and meticulously arranged qualities that defined his entire career. When asked about his future in a 2005 interview with Ultimate Classic Rock, Edmunds hinted at slowing down, saying, "I'm just sitting back at the moment, and I'm planning the next year or so." At the time, no one could have known that the following decade would bring such a tragic turn. As word of his condition spreads, fans around the globe are revisiting his music, sharing personal memories, and praying for a recovery. For many, Edmunds' music wasn't just background noise, it was a soundtrack to their youth, a bridge to their emotions, a marker of their life's milestones. There's something achingly powerful about rediscovering a favorite song in moments of grief or nostalgia, and Edmunds' catalog is full of songs that now echo with even deeper significance. The outpouring of love from fans, fellow musicians, and industry insiders has been immense. Social media has become a virtual shrine to his legacy, with stories pouring in from people who saw him live, met him backstage, or simply found solace in his records during hard times. One fan recalled driving across the US with nothing but a stack of Edmunds CDs, saying, "His voice was my compass, his guitar my fuel." Another shared a video of their wedding, "Where I Hear You Knocking" played as the bride walked down the aisle, a testament to how deeply embedded his music is in people's lives. As Sissy continues to navigate this harrowing chapter, she is not alone. The global community that cherishes Dave Edmunds has become a collective shoulder to lean on, offering strength in comments, letters, and tributes. The man who once brought joy through music is now receiving it back in the form of prayers and memories. And though the road ahead is uncertain, one thing is clear: Dave Edmunds has already achieved immortality through the songs he left behind.